Hello and welcome to Scrap Mechanic Survival. In this video we'll be going over the basics on the new mode and of course the fun that comes with building wildly imaginative creations and surviving in this hellish world of rampant farm bots. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So of course, first things first, our ship is on fire! What? What are we to do? Wait a second. Did we crash into that tower over there? And we survived? Oh my god, we need some water. So first things first, we'll go over here to the pond and you'll notice there's a bucket here. So let's grab this bucket. If you right click on it, you'll see the indication for picking up the bucket. Not all indications for interacting with objects will show up, so it's kind of worth noting to right click on many items and just see what you can pick up. Alright, so now all the fire is out. You'll notice on this wall here there's a sign pointing to here, which requires a master battery. We'll find that somewhere else in the world, but it'll power this craft bot, which will allow us to essentially get basic components to craft our first scrap car. Now that we know what our objective is, which is finding the master battery, let's kind of take a look at our basic tools here. First we have our trusty sledgehammer, which will allow us to smash things such as loot chests, which you see down there, break down trees, and attack enemies. So let's smash down this tree just to see what we can get, since we'll be needing these resources later. That animation of the trees is so cool. Now you'll notice that it breaks down into these little chunks. Each section contains 20 pieces of wood, or blocks of wood, and each individual log contains 10 blocks. Now we can use a refining tool to shave off the blocks and get them in our inventory. Also, we could pick up the logs and place them in different places, which will help us for shaving them instead of them rolling away, or placing them in areas so that we can do bulk shaving. Later we'll get a collector and we'll be able to put them into the refinery bot to do this more efficiently. So now that we've looked at the sledgehammer, let's head over here to the lift. Now of course every mechanic needs a lift. This allows us to build creations on top of it, as well as lift up to higher places if we need to. And while we're building, we can also raise up, get underneath of our creations. Later on as well, we'll be able to pick up our creations and move them to a new location with the lift. So I'll show you that in a little bit. But since we got a little bit of wood, I'm going to show you the building mechanic here. So with the block selected, you have this little icon, this little hovering box that shows where you would be placing an object. So also if you hit Q, you could change the direction that you put it on, which axis. So for instance, if you just want to do a floor, you can just do that. You can place it individually or drag out up to 16 blocks and create a whole column. You can also create a whole panel, which would be useful for creating walls and such. So for now, we're not going to build anything. We'll come back to that later. I just kind of want to show you the basics of building. And if you right click, as you noticed, you can remove objects. Now of course, when building, you're not limited to placing on the lift. You can also place it on the floor to create floors or walls for buildings, and pretty much anything else you can think of building. Alright, now that we have the basics out of the way, let's go exploring. As you head down this path, we will destroy all these loot boxes and pick up a bunch of random items. We got some seeds, some soil, some carrots, and we'll just continue destroying all of these and meet you at the tower. Alright, so here we are at the tower. You'll notice this little antenna sticking out. This is what you would call a Totebot. They take 3 hits to destroy. Usually on the 3rd attempt to hit, they will also attack you, but you can probably destroy them before that happens. Now this is your second water bucket that you could pick up. You can actually get 4 in the starting area, so it's worth exploring to find those and make it easier for farming later, which we'll get into in a little bit. Now if you go over here, there are these chests as well, which you can interact with E and pick up more items inside of. If we head over here briefly, you see some scrap metal. Now you can refine these for scrap metal blocks and later turn them into metal and other components. So there's probably about 30 or 40 here on this tower alone. Alright, so here's some more destruction. We'll take care of this little Totebot first. As you can see, he attacked on the 3rd one. They only hit for 15. Now here's the master battery. We will pick that up and just continue exploring the top of this tower. Alright, we are back at the ship. We have the master battery. Let's pop that bad boy in there and see what we can do with this crafting bot. So we'll put it down here onto our quick bar. So we will find it here. We can drag it down, or we can also shift click and remove from inventory to quick slot. Much quicker. We'll get out of our inventory, place that in there, and now we have power restored. In the craft bot, we can make a scrap gas engine, a scrap driver's seat, scrap seat for passengers, another scrap wheel, some bearings, cardboard, switches, buttons, and the connect tool. Connect tool you'll be using a lot for connecting all your interactive parts together. So we'll see what we have for our inventory. Your results may vary. You might actually have a lot of the components we need depending on how much you loot it and what random items you got out of your chest. Alright, before we continue on with a scrap car, I figure let's maybe look at farming a little bit. So we'll head over here to the farm. And I actually purposely waited until nighttime to go over this just because it is a little better to be doing it closer to midnight, actually after midnight. It is going to be a little dark over here, so let's turn on the light, or at least turn it up a little bit. There's another bucket here. If you read the billboard, it'll explain how to do the farming. You can pick up some soil. There's already some plots down here. We can pick up some more over here. You can plant the seeds, get some water, water them, fertilize, and wait for them to grow. So before it becomes midnight, let's put down some more soil here. We'll put that into our quick bar and just create a few more plots here. Now it's worth noting too, if you want to change where they're placed, you can pick them up and replace them. Also, if you have soil in your hand like this, you can force build it to put it back into a bag. Alright, now that we have all our soil down, let's pick up some seeds. We'll pick up some carrots, some tomatoes, fertilizer, some more tomatoes over here. So we have all our seeds in hand. We're going to wait until it's midnight. It's getting close to that. I'll show you a little bit about the wheelbarrow. Now with it being scrap mechanic, we can actually take apart objects. Like I said, if you hover over an object and right click, you'll be able to remove them from their creation and put them in your inventory. As you can see, we now took those pieces off. And it's really useful too because now we have an extra wheel, bearing. Actually, we'll have 2 bearings, so now we have 3 bearings. Alright, so it's almost midnight here. We will begin planting our seeds. The reason why we waited till midnight is because if you plant at midnight, you have the most amount of time for your crop to grow before the robots come and raid your plants. So basically the Totebots that we attacked before, as well as Haybots, will come and attack at midnight. And the amount that come depend on how many you plant, what type of crops that you plant, and how many days you've planted for. So definitely keep that in mind. So what we'll do is we'll plant down a bunch of tomatoes here. Now you'll notice in our quick bar that it's still 4. It's because it's pulling from the rest of our inventory. Okay, so we'll water these plants. Good thing I got 2 buckets. And as you'll notice, now a countdown has started. That's 22 hours and 49 minutes, which actually relates to 22 minutes and 45 seconds. And like I said before too, you could fertilize your crops. It will decrease the time to grow by 2 times. So let's just do a few of these just to kind of show you what it'll do to 4 of them. And it'll be ready to harvest in half the time. Okay, so now that it's daytime once again, back here at the ship, I just want to show you this other little area. If you go directly behind you through these trees, you'll find another little down building where there will be some more scrap metal, as well as an extra bucket. So by this time you should be able to get about 4 buckets. I already have 3. So just over here and down the cliff, you'll find some scrap metal here, here, some more loot chests, and if you continue through here, you'll find another bucket. And there you go. That'll make watering the plants a lot easier. Another thing you could do to get some liquid is if you smash this corn and pick this up, you can actually feed it to the cows, and they will give you walk milk. And you can drink that and have a bunch of that on hand if you are short on food and liquid. So we'll come over here to this cow and put that into our quick bar. Drop this down in front. After them eating 3 of them, they will essentially spit out some milk. And there you go. They give you some milk. So with these Haybots here, what you want to do is kind of backpedal while attacking them. And if you push forward and then jump backwards, you'll be able to avoid their swing. Alright, we're back at the farm. As you can see, I set up a little bit of barrier here to protect ourselves from the raid. The ones that we fertilized are already ready to harvest, so we'll harvest those. Those were actually done earlier in the day, I just waited until now. And the other ones that we planted will be ready hopefully before midnight. If not, we're possibly going to lose some crop, but we should be okay. So we'll wait here till midnight and defeat the robots that come and attack us. Alright, we're back. We have about 35 seconds before the robots come. We'll harvest the rest of these because they are complete. And I picked up the water buckets as well because we'll be able to stun the bots, mainly the Haybots, and then we'll be able to attack them with our sledgehammer. This is kind of a tough spot to fight in because it's a very dense forest, so we won't be able to see where the enemies are coming from, but at least with the Totebots we'll be able to see their lights from above their antenna. And the Haybots we'll just have to kind of wait and see where they come from. So here comes a Totebot through the trees here. Make short work of him. There should be another one over here as well. He's going to sneak behind the billboard. We'll take him out. Grab his circuit boards. There should be another one, possibly two, but almost guaranteed a Haybot, but it doesn't look like there is one yet. Doesn't mean that he's not out there. He could be lurking in the shadows and coming a bit later, but we've already harvested our crop, so we should be safe. We could also take out this guy back here, which is slowly coming in. So now that the wave is complete, we'll come back to our ship. You'll notice here that I have all the pieces, or at least most of the pieces we need for crafting our vehicle. We have the engine, the driver's seat, 4 wheels, which I have another one here, and a bunch of components. We will also be putting in the gas. Again, your items are going to vary depending on how much you've explored by this point and what you got out of the loot chest, but hopefully you have enough. I have 6 bearings because you'll see in a little bit we'll need 4 for each wheel and 2 for turning. So we'll wait till morning and we'll start with that. Before we do that, overnight I'm going to go in here and start on the Connect tool. The Connect tool is a very important tool for connecting all the interactive parts together. So we'll craft that and we'll wait until morning and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so now it's morning. We'll go over the basics of building a scrap car. This is by no means the perfect way of doing it. You can do it any way you want. You can even use the blocks that you have in your inventory here to build it. I'm just going to use this here as a base. And note that the seat is 3 by 5. So we'll put that on here. And I'm going to actually leave it there. I'm going to put the engine on the back for this build. You can put it anywhere you want. We'll show you how to connect it in a little bit. So I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to put some pipes on here, which I broke down from the barrel over at the pond, and we'll make a little bit of a area for our wheels to go. So as you'll notice, I've lifted up the creation here. We have some angled pieces on here. On the back, I will just put another piece here and a bearing on the end of it, and then a wheel for turning. Alright, so we have the back wheels on the front. We'll put a bearing here and a bearing here, as well as an angle piece out and another bearing on the end of that. Put another angle piece on here, a bearing on that, and then we'll put our wheels onto the end of that. Now the reason why I'm doing this kind of setup with the bearings is because these two here will allow us to turn the vehicle, and these on the end attached to the wheel will allow us to rotate the wheels. So anything you kind of want to rotate will need to have a bearing on it. Otherwise it'll just be static to the object that is attached to. So we'll lower this down a little bit. We'll take out our Connect tool. Now you'll see these little dots that are showing what items can be, what items are interactable and can be connected to various components. So what we'll do is we want this vehicle to drive from the front, so we'll connect our engine to the wheel bearing. And we'll do that for this other side here, not the turning bearing, just the one on the wheel. Now we'll look at the rotation of it. We want it to go forward, so we'll switch that to forward. Switch that to, oh, that's already forward. On the driver's seat, we'll connect that to the steering. Just drag those down there. And if you look at it from the top, you want to rotate that one and that one, so we can turn at the same time. And you'll want to connect the engine to the seat so that it has control when you're driving. Otherwise it'll just automatically drive forward when you put gas in it. So everything looks good and connected. We'll take this, put it down into our quick slot, put in some gas, and there we go. Now we have a powered vehicle. We'll get rid of the lift, put it over here for now, and hop on. Check our steering, good to go. W to move forward, and there you have it. You've built your first scrap car. Now what you can do is expand on it some more. You can obviously make it look better. You can build a trailer, you can collect all the items that are here in the ship, over there, explore a bit more, do whatever you want to do. It's totally up to you. Next thing you're going to want to do is continue down this road past that building that we saw to the right. Continue on the road and you'll find the mechanic station. And there you have it, guys. We've found the mechanic station. What we'll do is we'll place that master battery in there. And up here we have the option of doing a crafting bot, cook bot, refinery bot, dress bot, and resource collector. Now this is where the game really opens up at the mechanic station, and you'll be able to increase your efficiency with the resource collector, refinery bot, and just continue on with the game. Now that's just the basic of Scrap Mechanics Survival. There's so much more to explore. Dive in, see what you can find. In a future video we could go over some more of the advanced stuff, more of the items you can collect, and parts and blocks and interactive items you can create, including my journey through Scrap Mechanics Survival and figuring out interesting and creative builds. If you guys would like to see more of these videos, be sure to let me know in the comments below, and also with any questions you may have. And of course, give the video a like if it was helpful to you, and subscribe for more gaming content.